I think I'm on. Thank you. What's going on, everybody? Another Thursday night. Can everybody hear me okay? Everybody hear me all right? Nobody saying anything. All right. Thursday night in the neighborhood. Landon coming here and kind of got me messed up. Kind of not knowing where I need to be right now. Been a while since I've done a video. I think it's been since December was my last video. Just been really busy. Things going really good at the shop. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of new things happening. But just figured I'd come on here and do something kind of quick tonight. Kind of something quick and simple that I can put a video out there for y'all for. It's a topic that a lot of people don't understand, you know, when it comes to motor oils, engine oils, you know, whatever you want to call it, automotive oils versus racing oils, what's good, what isn't, you know, what type of fuels certain oils can and can't be used with, and why, because there are fuels out there that, you know, certain type of oils are not recommended to use, and I'm going to kind of go over the reason why tonight. First thing, you know, with karting, you know, with the clone stuff, the predator stuff, a lot of that stuff is gasoline, 87 octane, typical pump gas, 15% ethanol. Some of it is, you know, pure petroleum gasoline. When it comes down to that, you know, a lot of the oils out there that are used, what I call shelf oils, the karting oils, our Lucas oil that we sell, a lot of that is compatible with gasoline. There's some of the older karting oils that's not as popular as they used to be back in the flathead methanol days that are not really good with gasoline. But I'm gonna kind of go over, you know, of course I'm gonna highlight our Lucas oil because that's what I'm paid to do, and kind of go over a few things like with shelf oils and automotive oils. The few that I kind of recommend and kind of use myself sometimes, or did before Lucas, and you know, so you can kind of understand where we're coming from with automotive versus racing oils. First thing, when it comes to regular gasoline, 15% ethanol, stuff like that, a lot of your automotive oils are good enough. I hear that all the time, you know. Well, I'm running, you know, Napa full synthetic 520. You know, that's good enough for me. Is good enough really good enough? You know, because these little engines, you know, when it comes to a splash lube engine, to a certain extent, oil is oil. And I'm going to get into, you know, what makes them different. All a splash lube engine needs to run on a generator or air compressor or a water pump is something that is splashable and something that is slick, and that's really all it needs. And then when it gets into your racing applications, there's a little more stuff that it needs in order for it to perform well and to protect your engine like it should. You know, your standard off the shelf oils a lot of times doesn't have the zinc and the phosphorus inside the oil for an additive that these little splash lube engines need. A lot of them over the years have cut down the zinc and the phosphorus because of catalytic converters. You know, the zinc and stuff, oil burns as your engine runs. And I got my camera set up a little different tonight, and I can't figure out where my, okay, it's right there. Can't figure out where the actual lens is. That's why I keep looking around. But a lot of the automotive oils over the years have cut down the zinc in the additive in the oil because of catalytic converters. All engines burn a very small amount of oil every time the spark plug fires during combustion, because if you leave your crosshatches like you're supposed to in your cylinder, those crosshatches are designed to be in there to hold oil, so that the rings actually ride on a coat of oil instead of metal to metal. That's what makes the engine last a long time. That's where the oil lubrication comes in at. And because of that, some of the oil is still in the cylinder whenever the combustion fires. Therefore, it burns and goes out the exhaust pipe. And over time, the zinc and the phosphorus and all can build up in the catalytic converters if you have a lot of zinc in it, and cause problems way down the road. We're not talking about from when you buy the car to when you get home. We're talking, 50, 60,000 miles later probably. But they cut the zinc down in the oils because also of roller cams. You always hear that, flat tapped cams need, I think it's, about 1,100, 1,200 parts per million zinc in order for the flat tapped cam, which is a cam that's just runs flat, is a piece of metal that runs flat on the lobe of the cam, just like these little clone engines do, and the animal engines and the flathead engines. That's a flat tapped style cam. And the cars got away from that, over the years, and now all of them are primarily roller cam, and they don't need as much, the zinc and the phosphorus in there for lubrication. Pressure lube and the other additives in the oil are more than sufficient for roller cam type applications. So, and what that means is these little small clone engines and stuff, they need that little bit of extra zinc, not only because they're a flat tapped cam, but we're not running the spring pressures in stock cams that really require a whole lot of zinc. We need the zinc because of it being splash lube. The oil has to atomize. When that dipper hits the oil and is throwing it around, it's got to atomize very well into very small particles. And zinc is something that is left behind after the oil has been wiped, or inside the rod or the rod bearing. It adds film strength and it adds lubrication after the oil has been wiped. That's an important part in these little engines because, like I say, it's splash lube and the connecting rod and the valve train area. All that is mist, is lubricated by mist, and it needs that zinc in there to add lubrication and to help with heat. Zinc also helps a whole lot with high temperature engines. And these little clone engines with gasoline, typically we're running them 400, 425, sometimes 450. In the case of like my road race engines, we run them 490 to 500. My engine last week in Savannah during one of the practices got to 528. That's a whole lot of temperature that most common off-the-shelf oils are not designed to handle. Now the engine itself is not getting that hot. That's just the head temperature right around the spark plug. The rest of the engine, might be 180, 200 degrees. The oil temperature might be around that 180, 200 degrees. But that's a lot of temperature that most oils are not designed to handle. And therefore, you remember the old commercials back in the late 80s, early 90s, mid 90s about thermal breakdown? That's what thermal breakdown is. The oil is getting so hot that the additives are no longer useful, and it's just a slick product in there, and there's nothing protecting things. There's no film strength. So be very careful with these off-the-shelf oils that you buy. A lot of oils out there that are really good for your passenger car. Mobil 1 is a very popular one. That's what I run in all my vehicles, is Mobil 1. Have for many, many, many years. Never had a single problem with them. And you got your Valvolines. Everybody's got their synthetics now. Mobil 1 is a good synthetic, and Amsoil is one of the first synthetics. But if you look at like your conventional style oils, that they're all getting their own synthetics now. Your Valvolines, your Quaker States, your Havoline, they've all got synthetics. And synthetic doesn't make it better for small engines versus conventional. Because they usually have the same type of additives in it. It's just the way the oil is made, whether it comes from what they call dyno oil, which is oil pumped out of the ground, versus synthetic, which is man-made from plants, vegetables, corn, stuff like that, potatoes. But the additives in it is what's important. You got some really good conventional oil there that's got a lot of good additives in it. Just like you got synthetics. But like I say, Mobil 1 is, a very popular oil that a lot of people use in these engines, and I've recommended Mobil 1 over the years, and I've always told people, to get the high mileage oil, the one with the blue label. The reason for that is most high mileage oils, up until recently, most high mileage oils have a higher zinc content in them than the regular synthetics or your regular conventional oils, because usually a high mileage, up until a couple of years ago, all the high mileage oils were still designed for cars that could possibly have flat tapped cams, or the high mileage oil has additives in it that helps seals and helps rings from sticking and stuff like that from older style engines. Like I say, this used to be one of my most popular oils that I'd recommend to people off the shelf, the high mileage oil. And he's back. He just ain't gonna let me go tonight. All right, come here, buddy. We'll get you in real quick. Well, come here.
What?
Come here and say hey to everybody. You want her to say hey while we go?
Hey, everybody.
In case none of y'all hadn't noticed, we got on matching shirts tonight.
Yeah.
I know I got a lot of mini bikers on here, and a lot of people in the mini bike world know who the Gray Goat is.
I don't have time for the show.
you don't have time for the show. What you got to do that's
I'll be back tomorrow.
What you got to do that's so important?
No, I'm late. I gotta be back tomorrow.
Okay, well if you're late, then tell everybody bye.
Bye.
Say thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for stopping by.
Glad you got to see me.
I'm glad.
Say glad you got to see me.
I'm glad you got to see me.
Oh, bye, buddy.
Bye.
Well, that was quick.
But
But anyway, back to the shirt. A lot of y'all mini bikers out there know who the Gray Goat is. He is the guy that does the video shows for O&B Warehouse, which is Old Mini Bike Warehouse. And I tell people all the time that you send me a shirt of your team or your race team or your company, your sponsor, and I wear it during my shows. And I've always said that I wasn't going to wear a shirt from a competitor, like a competitor in the business, or technically the Gray Goat is a competitor of mine, sort of. He's doing a show right now. He comes on at 8 o'clock also and does a show with mini bikes and stuff like that. But in all of his shows, he always mentions me, or he always mentions ARC many times. He does this very well. He advertises real good for us, so I figured I'll go against my own saying and wear a competitor shirt on my show. So, Eric, here's your shirt, buddy. And any of y'all that ever watch his show that comes on Thursday nights, my shows are better, of course, but he always makes a toast to me in ARC, and he always uses this cup. Yeah, this is a cup that he actually sent me. Okay, he does a toast to me every show he does. So, Eric, I'm gonna do one for you this time. But instead of using liquor, I'm gonna use some ARC blue tire prep here. I've won a lot of races on this tire prep. So, Eric, normally this is for me, but tonight it's for the goat. That's you, buddy. We're gonna do a shot to the goat. Woo! Feel my insides getting sticky and tacky already. All right, now that the Gray Goat has had his 15 minutes of fame on my show. Now, funny thing is somebody's going to leave this show and go over to his and tell him that I'm wearing his shirt. He's going to get all excited and start acting like a little girl that, at the prom or something, and probably pee in his pants. But anyway, thanks, Eric, for everything you do for us, man. You advertise great for us, so I figured I'd throw one out for you. Now, back to the show, since the boss man came in and left. And he had one on too, and Eric sent us both the shirts, and thanks for the shirts anyway. But back to the oil. Like I was saying, at one time, this was one of my favorite oils, off-the-shelf oils, to send to people or to tell them to use because it was the high mileage. And at one time, this oil had 1150 to 1175 parts per million of the zinc, which, I've always been told that the minimum that you really want and we're talking race car engines, or we're talking, hot rod engines, cars with actual flat tapped cams in them, V8s and V6s, that the minimum that you wanted for your zinc content was around 1100. And this used to have 1150 to 1175. But I was Yeah, and the guy that actually told me about this just popped up here and told me, yeah, Tom, a few weeks ago, about a month or so ago, Tom shared with me that they have lowered the zinc content in this oil down to around 900, which is below what car manufacturers back in the day recommended for flat tappet use. Now, is that saying that this oil is not good to use in these engines still? No, it's still good oil to use. Because we have a way to put zinc in the oil. Now, we sell this, these Lucas products. They're all on our website, easily found, easily bought, easily available. But this is a zinc additive that you can put into this oil or pretty much any oil out there and increase the zinc content in the oil. But this is some pretty thick stuff, so use it very, very sparingly. I tell people that with any oil you put this in, whether it's Mobil One, whether it's Haveline, STP oil, Peak oil, Walmart oil, whatever. I'm not recommending all that oil, but if you use it in anything, don't use more than 1 ounce of this product to 12, 13 ounces of this. I don't recommend using more than 1 ounce because, like I say, it is pretty thick. You shake it up, mix it well, and it works pretty good. Actually, I use this stuff. I mix it in with, I buy, what kind of oil is it? Is it Peak? I think it is Peak. Peak high mileage oil, 5W20. And I'll mix some of this in with it. And that's what I use for assembly lube on all of my stalker style engines and up to like mild gas, stock appearing outlaw style engines. It's a good assembly lube. If you mix it with other oil, it sticks good and it doesn't stick too much like regular engine assembly lube does. I've always tried to steer people away from using actual engine assembly lube with these engines because it's too sticky. And your connecting rod, which I've moved stuff around here, I don't have any rod here, but anyway, the connecting rod, has a stock rod has one small little hole, and our billet rods has that same hole plus the forced oil dipper. Now you put, that thick assembly lube in it, and there's no way oil can get in until all that burns out. And does that take 5 revolutions, 10 revolutions, 20, 50? Nobody really knows, but that stuff's got to burn out before oil can get in. So that's why I don't recommend using actual assembly lube on any of these engines. I've actually got a small squirt bottle I should have brought in here that I'll put, 4, 5, 6 ounces in it and then just squirt some of this in there with it, about a half ounce or so, shake it up, and it becomes a little bit stickier than regular oil, but not near as sticky as actual assembly lube. And that's what I use on every gasoline engine I build up to a certain modification. But as far as the off-the-shelf oils, I seen somebody mention Royal Purple a while ago. When we was selling on this Lucas oil, we was on the phone with them. We was on the phone with Mobil, we was on the phone with Amsoil, we was on the phone with a lot of people trying to develop or to get an oil into our company that was a one-size-fits-all, that worked with pretty much any fuels you want to use it with and any type of engine. And Lucas was the only one that met what we wanted. Now the Royal Purple was a good oil. The Amsoil is a good oil. Mobil One, before they changed the zinc content, was a very good oil. I've used all these oils. Not 2050. This is just some I grabbed off the shelf. But Royal Purple has a lot of zinc in it. It's up in the 2,000 range. It's got a lot of the additives that you really need. But the problem with it is, from my testing, is it doesn't atomize. Even in the 520, they got this stuff in 520, 530, 540, and 2050. Even the 520, which is the thinnest they make, doesn't atomize as good as this stuff does. But it's got more additives than this stuff does. So you got really good additives in one oil, you got really good atomization in another. And that was something that we were trying to work on with the Lucas, is getting the best of both worlds. Really good additives, really good atomization. That's what we got. But the Royal Purple, a lot of people use that. Very good oil. Just be careful with it. I don't recommend anything heavier than a 520 in a stock engine up to like a BP. And if you're running like an outlaw style engine, higher compression, especially our billet rod, a 530 is going to be good for you. Of course, we recommend a medium weight oil with our connecting rods anyway, but I wouldn't run heavier than a 530 with this type of oil because, like I say, it doesn't atomize very well. Now as far as the like to say the Lucas, it's up over 3,500 parts per million with the zinc. It's got tons of zinc in it, and it also has a dispersing agent to atomize very well, which means it breaks up into very small particles very quickly and very efficiently to get into those really tight places that you need lubrication quickly. Now, after so long, with so many revolutions and heat, all oil can get into these small places. It's how quick can it get there with a cold start. That's where, number one, our connecting rods come into play with the forced oil dipper, because as soon as it hits the oil, it squirts oil up in there. But how many revolutions does it take with, just even this oil to get it up into the piston, to get it up into the wrist pin, to get it up on top of the engine, for the valve train? That's where your atomization comes in at, and that's why I keep harping on the Lucas. It atomizes very well. It gets to those places very quickly. Now, that's all with gasoline. Now, when we go to E85, when we go to methanol, exotic fuels with nitro, stuff like that, these oils like this are not going to fit the bill. In fact, we talked to Mobil. We went to Mobil many years ago about making an oil for us, and they were all, that's fine, until we mentioned methanol. And they said that oil is going to be very expensive, and it's going to be a separate oil. And the reason is gasoline is a petroleum. Methanol is a synthetic fuel. It's made out of corn, just like corn and vegetables and stuff. Just like the oils are, it's distilled. Kind of like, I guess, like moonshine is sort of. But it has an effect on the molecules in the oil. Meaning, most of y'all that's run methanol know that when you put oil like this in your engine, or Valvoline, Havoline, or whatever, Rotella, that's another good oil. It's got a lot of zinc in it. Rotella is really good. And y'all run it for a while, you notice that the oil turns milky white, and it's going to happen in bigger style engines. If you got a small like 625 or 675 carb on it, it ain't going to get down there as much as it does with big carbs, Tillotons and Makunis and stuff like that. But it's going to, gasoline gets down there. That's what turns the oil in your car black. A lot of people think that, man, I checked the oil in my car, 5,000 miles, man, it's black as coal, man, I need to change it. Yeah, methanol is made from wood. You're right. Sorry, Tom. Yeah, I need to get you on here and help me do my show sometimes, because I can't think of the stuff I need to think of quick enough. But methanol is made from actual racing methanol is a wood byproduct, not a corn byproduct. I'm thinking of actual drinking, I guess. But thanks for correcting me again, sir. But made me lose my place what I was talking about. The molecules in the oil when gasoline turning the oil in car black. That's where I was at. The oil gets down there and mixes with gasoline, and it turns it dark. But oils are designed to mix with, off the shelf oils are designed to mix with gasoline to a certain extent. I mean, not a ton of it, and if gasoline with 36, 37, 38 thousandths jets is able to get down into oil in these engines, over time, imagine what methanol is doing with 63, 64, and 65 thousandths jets. They're twice as big, so there's twice as much fuel going in there. And there's going to get down into the oil after a certain amount of time. There's not much you can do about it. Even in cars, it happens. With dry sump systems and stuff, it happens. Just not as much as it does with small engines, like for with Tillotons and stuff. But when that methanol gets down into the oil, you see it turn milky white. And what that's doing, that's the methanol reacting with the polymers and the molecules of the oil. It's causing the oil to thicken up like it's supposed to with heat and stuff like that. The viscosity increases a little bit after oil is agitated. That's what it's designed to do. And that methanol doesn't allow the oil to come back down after the viscosity has been agitated. And it will get thicker and thicker and thicker and thicker every heat cycle that it goes through. That's why it's important to have an oil that mixes with that type of fuel. And I'm not talking about you taking it on the table and mixing it up like that. And I'm talking as it runs and as it's aerated and the oil is spread around. When the oil cools off, the oil and the methanol needs to separate. Most any oil, even the Lucas, if you fire up one of these big engines with a really big carburetor on that's dumping a lot of fuel, you shut it off right then, drain the oil, it's going to look milky just like anything else does. But as it sits, it'll actually separate, which is what it's supposed to do. And which means it's separating from the molecules and allowing the oil to go back in the condition it was before it got hot. And with conventional oils, even synthetics, it messes with those molecules and the polymers, and the oil will get thicker and thicker and thicker every heat cycle it goes through, and it will protect less and less and less and less. Are you going to blow your engine up by putting this oil in with methanol and it turns milky? No. There's a lot of junior drag racers run this stuff. This right here, right out the bottle. But they change their oil after every run. They'll do a run, change the oil. Do a run, change the oil. That's expensive, but they got their reasons that they like to do that. Now, there are some off-the-shelf oils. Royal Purple, to a certain extent, the standard Royal Purple will mix with methanol fairly well. You don't need to run it all night long, I wouldn't think, with like a big Tillerson on it. I would show up with fresh oil, halfway through the night, change it, you'll be good. Stuff like this, do not recommend Mobile One off the shelf, Haviline, Valvoline, Quaker State. None of that stuff is designed to mix with methanol. The polymers, the molecules on it will not actually allow the fuel to separate once it gets hot. Gasoline, it will. But there's a few oils that you can buy like in auto parts store, AutoZone, O'Reilly's. Of course, Royal Purple's one of them. Valvoline V1R racing oil, it will mix with methanol also. And like I say, when we say mix with methanol, we're not talking about like you're mixing a drink or you're mixing up some food, to different ingredients. You're not actually mixing it. What mixing means that is compatible or will mix with methanol means that once it gets in there and the oil goes through a heat cycle, the fuel will separate from the oil and allow the oil to go back into its original cold state before it was agitated and before the heat got into it. It lets the molecules relax and goes back into regular oil. Now, it a lot of times, like with these big engines, when you go to drain the oil out of it, if it sits like overnight or something, when you pop that plug loose, you'll see a little bit of methanol come running out because it's separated. And that's what it's supposed to do. There's some oils out there that have a certain color to it that they never turn milky or something, but there is methanol in it. There's some of the older cart oils out there, your Thors, your Cool Powers, and why did my phone go dark? Your Thors and your Cool Power and stuff like that. Those are the oils that was been around for a long time, and they were designed around the flathead methanol style engine. You can take those on a table and actually mix it up, and it won't turn a different color, because something about the dyes that are in it mixes with the methanol, and it doesn't turn as milky and stuff, but there's still methanol in it. 'Cause I've had people call me before and say that they're burning up our rod bearings. They only get like 3 or 4 races out of them, and the bearing is completely gone. It's wore out, and it opened up, and I'm like, what kind of oil are you running? Well, we're running Thor, we're running Cool Power, we're running Power Plus. I'm like, oh, that's good oil, but how often are you changing it? Every 2 races. How do you mean, like every 2 heat races or every 2 race nights? They'll show up one Saturday night with fresh oil, run it with a big Tillerson, and then it sits for a week, and then they run it again the next week, and then they change it. Well, when we change it, it's the same colors that went in there. Well, that's because that oil doesn't turn the colors that other oils do, because of I forget what it's called that they put in there or they don't put in there, but it's a dye or something, and it mixes with it perfectly and it stays the same color. That doesn't mean that your engine doesn't have a lot of methanol in it, because a lot of times with people in that situation, I'll tell them, "Oh, I need you to go to the track. I need you to run 2 practices and a heat race. I want you to put 14 ounces in and tell me how much you drain out." And they'll say, "I put in 14 ounces and drain 15 out." That means you got an ounce of methanol in there, and the oil's the same color. You need to change your oil a little more often, because that methanol will stay in there. It doesn't evaporate like gasoline does. But that's good God. Landon come in here twice and got me. All right, let me go through these real quick. Yeah, and there's some of these karting oils out there that's been around for a long time, and they're really, really good oils, but they just don't work well with gasoline, and it's for the same reason. It doesn't mix with the I forget what the thing is in the petroleum byproduct, but you'll see some engines that you take apart that's got what's called a bathtub ring around it inside the block. You can actually see the oil level where it was in the block, and that's the reaction of whatever oil you was running and the gasoline, and that can lead to problems down the road. Like if the oil drains down and whatever the mixture is actually lands in the oil hole of the rod, it could. I've seen it happen rarely, but it could stop up the oil hole for a little bit. But that bathtub ring is the reaction of the gasoline and whatever oil you're running. I'm not going to name stuff like that because I'm not on here to bash any oil, and I'm not on here to really promote anything other than the Lucas, but I'm just on here to let y'all know that if y'all see stuff like that inside your engine, something is not right. I had a guy call me the other day he had a problem like that with the Lucas. He saw on the bottom of the pan that there was a lot of like black, he said like rubbery stuff. He said it fell apart in your hand. It come right in. He had his engine look great, and as far as the wear, but he just had this black stuff on the pan, and it's happening every single engine that he's done. And as we talked, I found out that he was using some type of lube that I've never heard of. I can't remember the name of it now. Some type of lube as an assembly lube to put it together. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe we got some type of reaction with that assembly lube with something that's in our oil. So I told him the next engine he build to assemble it with the Lucas and see if it's still done it, and I hadn't heard back from him. But if there's something in the bottom of your pan, especially if there's a ring around it, not necessarily on the bottom, because that could just be some type of contamination with the grease that's in the bearings, on the engine, or the grease that comes in the seals. It could be some type of reaction with that. Oh my God, the man himself, Dave Chisholm, is on here. Not really. Dino K. Yeah, Dino K's are really good. Oil from methanol, works good with gas. They sell a lot of it. I see a lot of people using it. Pagels, that's what I was trying to think of. Thanks again, Tom. In fact, I need to just invite you on here one night and just let you ramble with me. But Pagels, that's they don't react well a lot of times with gasoline. But usually when you have that type of problem is when you've run the engine, you leave the oil that you're running at that night, and it sits up for 2-3 weeks, a month, or over the winter with that same oil in it, and that gas and all can react and cause stuff to hang out. But Thor's a real good oil. I run Thor for years and years and years in flatheads and the animal with methanol. It's a very good methanol oil. But that's talking about all these oils and all, and different types of oils, and you got to use this oil with this fuel, and this oil with this fuel, and this ain't got zinc, this don't atomize. it all comes back to why not have a true one and done type oil, which is where our Lucas comes in at. I call it that because that's exactly what it is. It's a one and done oil. I use this oil in everything from red plate restrictors up to my my Outlaw 390s and 460s and all that I run. I run the same oil and everything: flatheads, methanol, gasoline, nitromethane, ethanol. I'm pretty sure I could throw some Tennessee whiskey in there and it would be just fine with it. But just when it comes to oils, the expression I hear a lot is, well, that oil's good enough. But the amount of money and time that people put into these engines and stuff to build them, it is good enough, really good enough. I say that a lot to people, and I've said it. This is the probably the fourth or fifth time I've said it tonight. But good enough is not good enough in every circumstance. A lot of money, a lot of time goes into these things, and you buy the best parts. Whether it's our parts or somebody else's parts, you're buying the best that's out there. A lot of people make a lot of good parts, not just us, but why go out and buy all this really good high dollar stuff and then go to Walmart and put oil that really I don't even like to put in my lawnmower in them? Buy good oil. You don't want to buy our Lucas, that's great. I understand that, this Lucas isn't available in a lot of places, and, you got shipping costs and things like that. That's fine. We got our oil. We got it ready for you. We can ship it for you. We can bring it to you. We can sell it to you. If that's not what you're looking for, that's why I'm doing this show tonight, is to tell you there's other options out there, that will be good for, your something. I feel like a mosquito just bit me in the back of my neck or something. But there's a lot of oils out there that are way better than your just dollar store oil, the Walmart oils and stuff like that. And there's also stuff out there that makes those oils a little bit better. And Wayne Powell, I catch you running Walmart oil in my stuff. You won't be running my stuff anymore. But we got stuff out there that you can put in the oils like that to make them better. Will it be up to this quality? No, but it will be way better than what it was. And like I say, no more than an ounce in 12 to 13 ounces, and you'll be good. Now, lots of options out there. Everybody talks about, the Lucas is $39 a gallon, which that's $40 a gallon, and there's 4 quarts to a gallon. 40 divided by 4 is $10 a quart. This was 8 or 7 something a quart. And this is regular off the shelf stuff. This is $9.50 for this. It's the same price. It's the same price as stuff that you can buy off the shelf, but it's good stuff that you're buying off the shelf. So, why buy all this high dollar stuff and then put not the best oil in it? Kendall oil. Kendall's got some good oil. I run that in late models for years. They got a good synthetic. They've got some. I've found it at O'Reilly's before. It comes, I believe, in a silver container. It is I believe it's a semi-synthetic that is compatible with methanol. But I think the lightest weight they got is 530 in it. And but that's Kendall's got some good stuff. But there again, you can do your own research on this. You can look up any oil on the internet and they will give you the breakdown of the additives sort of that's in it. If you want to know what the zinc content is in something, look it up. I got called out on this the other day by Tom, because I looked up stuff years ago and was still going off that. I didn't look it up. He did, send it to me, and I've corrected myself. But any oil out there, they got data sheets on them. And, if you can find oils that, up around 1,000 and then, put an ounce of this in it, you got some pretty good stuff that's going to work you good. But I'm talking not primarily to carters here because most carters go out and buy karting type oil. This is for like most of the mini bikers, and lawnmower racers. The mini bikers primarily because we get a lot of calls from y'all that y'all buy or high dollar structure kits or connecting rods. You buy that person's connecting rod, that person's cam. You put a lot of money in it, and then you go run Walmart oil in it. Now I'm talking to y'all tonight. There's a lot better options out there. Oil is an insurance policy. You don't want to go out and buy, a new Mustang or a new Camaro and get the cheapest liability insurance you can get on. No, you're going to get good insurance on it, because if something happens to it, you want to know that you've got protection. That's where the oil comes in. The oil is your insurance policy. It is the protection inside your engine. Brad Penn's got some good stuff. Just watch the weight on it, because a lot of that oil like that, I don't know if they got a karting oil, but I know a lot of that stuff is designed for cars. So watch the viscosity on it. Your 520, 530, and modifieds would be about as heavy as I'd go with it. What kind of oil do I use in my 390s and 460s? That right there. Next time I'm at the racetrack, come over. You can get some out the jug. I use right out the bottle, just like I do in everything else. The Lucas oil is a medium weight oil, which it's classified as a 30 weight. But the way it atomizes like a 20. So you're really getting the best of both worlds. You're getting the additives, you're getting the viscosity, and you're getting the atomization that you need for these little small engines. There's always one. But anyway, simple insurance policies, no big deal. Just you're putting a lot of money in this. I'm gonna use another slogan from another well-known product, which is Purelator. When it comes to oils, you can either pay a little now or a lot later. It's just as simple as that. Now, when it comes down to performance, these karting oils, they're designed for karting. They got additives in it that help with heat and help with the oil lasting for a long time, which is one of the reasons I got into road racing was testing oils. That's where we come up with what we got and tested a whole bunch of other stuff, because we run very long races at high temp there, and that carries over to the dirt stuff. But stupid cat running around. But the karting oils and stuff, karting specific oils, they're designed for kart racing. Now when you get into the I completely lost track of what I was trying to say, that darn cat. Anyway, not a good night for my mind. But the when you crap, I honestly forgot what I was fixing to say. It happens with age, from what I hear, and I'm 42, so by this time next year I'll probably remember my name. Dude, come on, really? But when it comes to your karting oils, all those are formulated for karting. They're going to have your high temp. They're going to have your additives for slickness and longevity. Now, back to you mini bikers? A lot of y'all want to use the off the shelf oils. Like I say, that's fine. Again, that's why I'm doing this tonight. To show y'all that you need to put investment into your investment. With oil as the lifeblood of your engine, and you go cheap there, you're gonna wind up spending more money down the road. But performance, that's where I was at. See, that light bulb come on. Performance. The karting oils are designed to perform better in these style engines because of the splash lube. Now, I've tested every oil you see here and just about every oil you can name. When we was settling on what we sell, the only oil we sell, and then this is why this is the only oil we sell. I've got a book that's about that thick of dyno data with all the oils that I tested and how I tested them. And the way I would test them is, a lot of people I talked to says, I'm running so and so oil. It's a 20 weight. I put your Lucas in there and I lost a couple of tenths. I'm like, well, that's good, because the oil is cold. We're not drag racing here. We're talking karters now. We're talking the kart racing. You take your 20 weight oil and do 20 consistent pulls on an inertia dyno, up to 7,000, back it down to 5, up to 7,000, and do recordings like that, and see how much that really lightweight oil does versus one that's designed for the long run. The Lucas oil did not fall off, and there's a lot of other oils that didn't fall off either. I tested, like I said, I tested the Lucas, I tested the Royal Purple, all the mobiles, all the karting oils you can name, the Amsoils, the 4T, all that stuff, and there was 4 oils that just outweighed everybody when it come to really high heat. When I say high heat, I wouldn't start the pull until it was at 500 degrees head temp. I would take my wife's hair dryer and I'd have the engine running at 3,500 RPMs, 4,000, and I'd hold the hair dryer in the carburetor so it's sucking in hot air, so that the head temp, and I would have another blow dryer on the front of the block so that it would get really, really hot. And in some cases, I would actually put the oil in a pot on a flat iron and get the oil to 200 degrees, dump it in the engine while the engine, everything's hot. And I've done all kinds. I burnt myself, about caught my shop on fire. Anyway, there were 4 oils that stood out with the very high heat temperature stuff. It was, of course, the Lucas. It was a Royal Purple, the Amsoil. Was it the 4T or was it the other oil? One of the Amsoils. I have to look at my thing. And believe it or not, Mobil 1. But it was the older stuff that had the higher zinc in it. They really stood out when it come to high heat. Now, all your other karting oils, your Thors and your Cool Powers and all, when I say they stood out, I mean, it wasn't like this. I mean, it was just a little bit more. But I noticed with some of the, now my screen just went black again. Whatever. With the automotive oils, they were crap. When you threw some really high heat temp to them, your I hate the name oils here because it makes me sound like I'm dumping on people, but your standard conventional oils, that even some of the what I call the standard synthetics, they done okay until you got a lot of heat to them. Then they lost a lot of power, which means the oil is not doing its job and it's causing drag in the engine. You're getting metal to metal, you're getting oil fatigue, you're getting thermal breakdown. Now, with the really high heat stuff, that's the thing I tested the most, because you got some races that in kart racing that are 20 laps features, some 50, some are 100. Is that oil still doing the same thing on lap 98 that it's doing on lap 8? That's why a lot of people use qualifying oils. They have an oil that's like a 15 weight that they'll put in, won't fire the engine until it's time to go on the racetrack. They'll go out and do their 5 laps. That really lightweight oil is going to make a little more power for a little while until the engine gets hot, till the oil temp gets up. Then it's going to start thinning out and going to start causing a little bit of drag in the engine. That's what we liked about your Lucas and your 4T and your Royal Purple and the old style Mobil 1, is the longevity of it. It with high heat and multiple pulls, it didn't fall off like some of the conventional off-the-shelf oils and some of the oils that I've tested that people have their own mix and stuff. A lot of that stuff is good. It's really it's really hard to find a true karting oil that's not good. They wouldn't be selling it if it wasn't. A lot of people, you see people mention Thor a lot. It's like the cheapest oil out there. But man, it's been around since like 1823. It's been around forever. Wouldn't have been around that long if it's not a good oil. Your Cool Powers, all that stuff's been around for a long time because it's good oil. There's just a lot more options out there now, and people are getting more fuel specific with their oils and stuff and all. But just keep that in mind. A lot of people, they want to run the thinnest oil they can get because, like I said before, if you take an engine that really ain't got no heat in it, you crank it up with, I don't know, Bubble 1 in it. Crank it up, do a pull, drain it, put some Thor in it. It might make more power because the Thor's a little bit thinner. Then you put Lucas in it, it might lose a couple of tenths because that oil's a little bit thicker. But the oil's still cold. That's why people make qualifying oil and they make racing oil. We have some Lucas oil that's, I want to say it's a straight 20 weight. It's a junior dragster oil. It's very thin. It'll make more power on the dyno the first couple of pulls than that one will. Then after about 6, 7, 8 pulls, they even out. And then, 12, 15, 20 pulls, this oil makes it a touch more because it holds its viscosity longer. But just keep that in mind when it comes to thin oils versus thick oils. If you're drag racing, a thinner oil is probably going to do you good because all you're doing is firing up, making the run, and you're stopping. If you're long-term racing, you might want to look at, if you got a 25, 30, 40 lap feature, you might want to look at going to a medium weight oil, which is what the Lucas is, which is what I think the 4T is, which would be 530 in oil like this. This would be considered a medium weight oil. That stuff will gonna give you the protection that you need for longer runs with the heat. But like I said, the mini bikers, a lot of them are going to like running to like 520 or 20 weight style oil. But then just remember, methanol requires specific oil. If you got any questions about what oil to use, if I didn't mention it tonight, or you got a question on what you use, just call me, call somebody. People will steer you right. We got the 800 number. Call us 800-521-3560. Shoot me emails. Jody@arcracing.com. Customer service at arcracing.com. You can get us through the Facebook page here. I mean, we'll answer your oil questions. And people will tell you that, when people ask me oil questions, what oil do you recommend? And a lot of times I'll ask them, what are you running and what fuel you're running? I don't just dump the Lucas on them. Not all the time. I do sometimes, but not all the times. I want to know what they're running. Because if they're just, running a pit cart, pit buggy, or, they got a little drift track or something they're just cruising on, a lot of time, long-term cruising, like on mini bikes and stuff like that, they go for 4, 5, 6 mile rides. Regular karting oil may not be the best for them either. They may need something with, a little more viscosity to it that, because the oil is going to get hotter. So usually I'll ask them, what are you using this for? Is this a cart? Is this a buggy? What type of fuel are you using? Then I'll give them a breakdown of oils I recommend. And, of course, top of the list is going to be the Lucas. If you can't get Lucas, then go here. A lot of good oils out there. There's a lot of good information. A lot of people should be a lot of people out there that are, able to give you answers to your oil questions and all. A lot of people is just going to, hey, what kind of oil do you recommend? Boom, they're going to throw their stuff right on top of you. I try my best not to do that. I'm guilty of it sometimes, but I try to break it down to, okay, this is what we offer and recommend, but here's some other options for you, which is why I want to do this tonight to show that, you got options, but just your options are kind of slim when it comes to automotive oils. But just remember, your carters have always got cart shops with specific karting oils to meet your need. Just get the right oil for your engine, the right oil for your fuel, and change it like you're supposed to, because these things do not have oil filters in them. And as the engine wears, metal deposits and oxidation and stuff like that happens. So you need to change the oil regularly. I tell people these clone engines with pretty much any type of oil out there, if it's recommended for that engine, you can usually run it the entire night of racing. That is, unless you're running multiple classes, 100 lap race, or it's dusty. Usually, even the mobile ones, back before we got our Lucas, when I was trying to decide on what type of oil to use, we'd show up with fresh oil, run it all night long, drain it that night or the next day when we cleaned up or something. Never had a real problem with it until we found, a better option. But, the mini bikers, y'all need to get a little more specific with your oils. especially with viscosities for the ones that do long rides, because you're going to need a little bit longer heat protection and all. But anyway, let's see if there's any more questions in here. Yeah, Jeff, come up here. What I miss? You missed Tom coming on here and correcting me several times, which is fine. I don't know everything. I don't claim to know everything. Would I get a 4-way key for my stroker crane, or should I flywheel? Yada 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 yada. The billet stroker crank is designed for a flywheel that's got an adjustable hub on it. You cannot use offset keys in the stroker flywheel. I mean, the stroker crankshaft. Like I say, because it's designed to use for the adjustable center hub, which is our flywheels that you bolt on with the stock key, loosen the nuts around or the bolts around the hub, and you spin the flywheel. They're designed for that type of application. Now, if you need 36 degrees with an ultralight flywheel, you're going to have to lap it on and use your degree wheel and set it like I've showed in several videos from a couple years ago. If you got questions on how to do that, Richard, just give me a call tomorrow and I'll walk you through it. It's not that big of a deal. I can walk through it pretty easy. But those crankshafts, they're not designed for running offset keys. People ask us why all the time. Well, the main reason is to help you not to ruin a $300 crankshaft if the flywheel spins. Not saying that a adjustable hub flywheel with the right key and all, torque down and all, couldn't possibly spin, because it could. But when you spin a flywheel with an offset key, first thing it does is, of course, it rolls the flywheel, and it could roll the crankshaft as well, which ruins the crankshaft. Now, in your clone engine, that's what, $30 for another crankshaft? No big deal. In a billet engine or a billet crankshaft, that's $300, and we're trying to prevent you from that happening. Now, if you've got one like the ultralight, if you've got it on there and for some reason something's not right or whatever and it does spin, you've still got a 50-50 shot of lightly relapping the flywheel and retorquing it and it being fine, where you don't have that option a lot of times if it spins with a key. Yeah, I'm having a hard time with my train of thought tonight. I'm on a lot of allergy medication. This pollen and stuff, man, is just, it got me. If you notice, my face is swollen up and all. Yeah, Dave, I am tired. Like I just said, from all this allergy medicine, man, it's got me messed up. And my dumb butt took a pill before about an hour and a half for my show, and it's really kicking in, and the lights are kind of moving a little bit. But yeah, Dave, thanks for coming on tonight and doing this with the oil. You actually said something before that I didn't get into about the foam. Automotive oils, they're designed to be pulled through an oiling system, and it stabilizes the oil and this, that, and the other. Splash lube, the oil can foam up, and if it foams up, the foam atomizes just like the oil does, and it can cause problems with lubrication, and seize the rod to the crank, or stick a piston, or of course you don't stick pistons easy, it just wears them out. And they, like I said, the oils become unstable at really, really high temperature, what I went over a while ago. Which is why I recommended if you're gonna be running like the road race stuff, man, if I go road racing, I'm not gonna run anything but Lucas, the Amsoil 4T or Royal Purple, something that's going to give me some really high heat protection. Let's see, yada 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 yada. Yeah, I've got, like I say, I've got a 3-ring binder like that, man, full of stuff when I was doing the Gibbs oil. Yeah, that was another thing I was trying to think of a while ago. Gibbs oil, that's some good stuff. But with the Gibbs oil and the Brad Penn oil, like I say, those are primarily designed for race cars, a lot like the Royal Purple is. Be careful with how thick you use, because even though it's a 520, the atomization may not be there. I didn't atomize test. I don't think I atomized test the Gibbs oil. I did the Brad Penn and I did the Royal Purple, and they was kind of in the same boat. Great additives, great oil, great stabilization, anti-foam, everything you need. But just be careful with the viscosity. Don't get too thick with it. Great stuff though. Dave Chisholm agrees with me on something? What? You missed the alcohol segment. I'm drinking Gatorade tonight, man. Damn it, Jeff. Really? For your information, Jeff, he's going back to my road race days where I left the oil plug out, leading the race, and yada, yada, yada. That was 2 years ago, man. 2 years, and I'm still hearing about it. Either way, it was the Lucas. And it run 2 complete laps with no oil in it. The rod is hanging in my shop right now. It is completely gold. It never broke, but it's completely gold and was welding itself to the crankshaft. But yeah, it had Lucas in it. Damn it. Make me cuss on here with this child-friendly show. What time does Tom's show come on? He comes on as soon as I get done. You know, damn it, I had another brain fart. I've been wanting to do a show to where I invite people on, and that's fixing to start happening. I'm gonna do that this year. I hadn't done a show since December. It's been busy season. I'm gonna try to get back into them, but that's what I'm gonna start doing. I'm gonna start inviting people on. You'll see their little face up there in the corner, and talk to people and just kind of highlight people in the business. And you know, Tom might be one of them, and Dave Chisholm's going to be another one. I'm going to get Diamond Dave on here one night, and we're going to do some talking. Let's see. Oh, this is your first live video. Thank you. The Great Goat himself is watching my show. I told y'all this would happen. Somebody left my show and went to his and said that I'm wearing his shirt, and by God, he's on here now. And here he comes back in here one more time. He's going to say goodnight, and I'm going to get off because it's getting late. What time is it?
9.
Yep, it's 9 o'clock. All right, here you go, Eric. He's wearing his shirt too.
Here,
hey, hold this up.
What's that?
It's the goat. Can you say the goat?
Goat.
Say the goat. You dropped it. All right. Well, tell the goat bye.
Bye.
Say bye, goat.
Bye, goat.
You ready
What's
to go?
This?
That is Lucas Zinc, and you just got oil all over your nicely cleaned hands.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Hey, if you drink it, it might make you poop better. Don't drink it. I'm just kidding you. Don't drink it.
It's for cars to drink it.
It is for a car. Do you see that car right there on that race car?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you tell them what we got last weekend?
We got piston cups last week.
How many piston cups did we get?
2.
We got 2 piston cups?
Yeah.
How many do you got now on your dresser?
6. Yeah. 6.
You got 6 piston cups up there? You want 10? Is that how many you want?
Yes.
So if I get you 10 piston cups, I can retire?
Yeah.
All right, you hear that, Joe?
Yeah.
We got 4 more and I can retire. Good deal. Nobody wants to see those stinking foot.
They're not stinky.
All right, show the goat your shirt one more time.
Whoop.
All right. Tell them bye.
Bye.
Say see y'all later. Say thanks for watching.
Later.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching this
All right.
video.
There we go.
Bye-bye.
All right, well, it's 9 o'clock, and I'm tired. He's tired, and he's messing with my lights now. And, all right, here we go. All right, make sure there's no more questions. And, all right, I know I've rambled a bunch tonight, but like I say, I took some allergy medication, and it's really messing with my head. So if there's anything I didn't hit on, or I hit on something too much, or I said something I shouldn't have, give me a call tomorrow at the shop, 800-521-3560, or you can email me direct at jody@arcracing.com, customer service at arcracing.com. You can hit me through the Facebook page here, message me. I get a lot of messages, so it may take a little while for me to get back to you, but I am not ignoring you. I'm just busy, and I have a lot of messages to go through. I do my best to try to get to every single one of them. So just be patient and take time. And before I go, this weekend, Dogwood Speedway, North Georgia, the Burris Southeast Tour is in town, and our Georgia UAS series, the Georgia Unlimited All-Stars, will be there. This is the rained out race from a couple weeks ago, but it's still the first race of the season for, I believe, Burris and for the Georgia UAS. So any of y'all in the area, in the Tennessee, you know, southern North Carolina, South Carolina, North Georgia area, y'all swing by Dogwood. Check out the Burris Southeast Tour and the Georgia Unlimited All-Stars while they're up there. Y'all see my hat? Yeah, good deal. That may remind me of to say that. And we picked up a couple of new sponsors this year for the Georgia UAS series. We brought on Fusion Composite Bodies, Competition Carburetors. They're going to be joining us this year, helping us out a little bit throughout the year and with our year-end awards and stuff. So we want to, give a big shout out and thanks to them. I'm going to try to start doing live shows also through the Georgia UAS page after each event, and I will hit up the sponsors a whole lot more during that, and we're going to talk to drivers and stuff like that. Try to after each race if I'm not too busy. But anyway, thank everybody for stopping by. I hope I didn't ramble too much because these drugs are really starting to kick in. I don't know. I might have took something wrong in there. I don't know because my eyes look kind of bloodshot, don't they? But anyway, thanks for stopping by, and I hope we do one again in a couple, 3 weeks, and hopefully we'll see y'all at the racetrack this weekend. Thank y'all.